Hi guys, welcome to day 2 of UCEI, the University of California Esports Initiative, presented by Xfinity. I'm Selena,
I'm Artemis.
and today we're opening with UCLA versus UC Berkeley, so we're kind of seeing like an extension of the school rivalry into League of Legends. So definitely very exciting, and it's worth to mention that whoever wins one game today, they will be able to go advance into LAN, which is something that students really look forward to because as a collegiate gamer you really want to feel that vibe, just play on stage, feeling that competitiveness from your teammates, from all the audience under there. So who do you think is going to win today?
Yeah, so it's interesting. This could be I suspect to be a close match, actually. UCLA is currently seeded number 2, while UC Berkeley is the defending champs from last year. They won UCEI last year, and they're currently seeded 3. So I have to say, I'm a little biased. I do think UCLA is going to be able to pull this off, but
Hmm.
it is a completely new roster, so we'll have to see how it shapes up. They had some really good games yesterday. I think UCLA is shaping up to be a really strong team this year.
Yeah, definitely. And as you know, collegiate scene is definitely very different from, for example, the real pro scene.
Oh yeah.
Worth to mention, BLG versus T1 game. I hope y'all watched that over the weekend. Very exciting. And I don't think anything like the crazy lane swap or the very meta picks are going to happen for collegiate. It's mostly like player comfort. So maybe we can see some weird picks per se that you don't really get to see, whether it's in solo queue or whether it's on the pro stage. So let's take a quick look at the bracket to see whose games that we're gonna be looking at today. So right now we're at LA versus Berkeley, and whoever advances is gonna face Irvine in semifinals. And it's worth to know that Irvine is kind of known as the dominating esports school. They always have a very strong looking roster with dedicated coaches. So definitely not an easy opponent to face,
Oh
but
yeah.
exciting for whether LA or Berkeley to advance some. And as we can see in the this double elimination bracket format, we have loser bracket here with Santa Barbara, San Diego, and Davis waiting for its next opponent.
Yeah, whoever loses this match right now between Los Angeles and Berkeley is going to be facing Davis in that lower bracket. So we'll have to see how this match shapes up for the upcoming next matches.
Yeah, definitely. And usually the same schools kind of show up for UCI LAN, but it's definitely, I want to see, some new faces or new schools
Oh
who have
yeah.
never been there before. And it's an exciting experience. It's going to happen in January. So if you're in the area, definitely check it out, register, go cheer it for your friends or whatever school that you're rooting for.
Yeah. LAN is going to be held in the Red Bull HQ at Santa Monica. So if you're in the area, just stop by.
Yeah, definitely gonna be a very exciting experience. So, what did you think about Worlds over the past weekend?
Man, that was crazy. I mean, T1 coming in as a 4th seed did not look good during their summer split, but they just look so different at Worlds.
Definitely. I have some personal strong opinions about certain player performances that I do not like, but I will not be sharing them right here.
I mean, I think
Keeping
I
the street
remember
professional.
a player might have been a little off during their gameplay,
Oh,
but
like BLG off.
all right,
Yeah.
yeah. Coming into the draft here, it seems like UCLA is gonna definitely pry out that Ash for the first pick there. We see that they have heavy bans toward the top side against UC Berkeley. It's important to note that Juicebox is actually a new player to the roster for Berkeley, but he is challenger and he's known for his carry tops. So the Camille and Fiora ban coming out definitely gonna be targeting him.
Yeah, and we see Aurora and Skarner Band from Berkeley, and we know these champs are very strong in the current meta with all the CCs, controls. Especially worth mentioning Aurora. She can kind of do everything. Like, she can team fight, she can pick people off, and all the resets is just kind of crazy. Except she's a little more short ranged, but with the meta being like Silas, Yone, all these short range champions also doing very well, Aurora is a very reasonable band coming from Berkeley.
Oh yeah. And from the Ash and the Ornn pick here, it looks like we're going to see a heavy pick comp from the side of UCLA. I mean, Ash with her arrow and Ornn with just that long range ult. These just long range ults are able to pick out targets really easily. So that seems to be their game plan coming into this match.
And I actually want to see how UCL is going to play this out because with the Ornn, you kind of still have that late game security. They can just, maybe sack a few dragons or so to get to that late game, have Ornn start passing out the items. But Ash and Silas still definitely very strong in those early game skirmishes. So definitely interested to see how the game is going to play out. And on the Berkeley side, actually, well, as a Seraphine player myself, I love seeing when there's bruisers and fighters on your team. You know, like it's just they just go in there, you extend your R, your Ws can just heal them for so much. So interesting to see Berkeley is kind of pulling out like the meta from almost like 2 years ago with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Zac and the Aatrox, and we actually see UCLA picking the Janna as a counter pick to the Zac.
Hmm.
Not gonna be happy as a Zac player, you know. You're not gonna fly in there and get
Yeah.
all these people CC and instead you're gonna be knocked up.
Yeah, her tornado is definitely going to be able to interrupt Zach's E, so we'll have to see how that plays out. It's going to be a super important ability to watch out for those team fights there.
Definitely, and we see the Hui coming out from Berkeley side. Yeah, with the Ezreal hovering, so the Seraphine is gonna be going
Yeah.
to the support lane,
Support
and
role most likely,
mhm.
and Ezreal pick definitely makes sense. You definitely do not want to be playing an immobile ADC into Ashe and Ornn, so Ezreal is just going to provide that nice mobility for them not to get picked so much.
Yeah, so looking at the team comp, definitely makes more sense for Berkeley to play towards top side in the early game because of the stronger, or not play towards top side too much because of Hui, right? But yeah, I'm actually surprised that they picked Hui into Silas because personally I would not like this matchup as
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
Silas can just freely roam and even like have a lot of kill potential on you as a very squishy immobile mage. So maybe a split map
Yeah,
possibly going
yeah.
on here.
It's gonna be a tough matchup for sure. But I mean, with that Seraphine ult and Hoei just provides so much AOE damage. So those team fights, it looks like they're just gonna be playing for those front to back team fights there on the side of Berkeley there.
Definitely. And maybe the Janna can look to roam as Seraphine is not really that good at roaming, but Janna you can definitely just get some Swifty or like even Mobies and roam on the map to make people's lives miserable.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, now looking at this draft, it's kind of split because I thought UCL was gonna go for like a more standard, you know, like protect the ADC, have the Silas, also have be the other carry. But now it seems that they picked Graves as the main
Yeah.
jungle carry. So
Yeah.
I don't know who is gonna get the most resources on UCLA, but whoever is gonna get the most resources is gonna have to carry the game.
Yep, that's for sure. Um, what draft would you prefer here in this scenario?
I mean, okay, personally, if both teams are like pretty equal and they scale into the late game, I think Berkeley has a higher chance of winning just because Hui and Seraphine and Ezreal, they can kind of just like stay behind the Aatrox and the Zax and just like throw their skill shots at the enemy team and like poke them out a little bit. But there is the Ornn as
Yeah,
like,
those ornaments are
yeah.
might ups the scaling factor a lot for the side of UCLA. So we'll definitely have to see. And you can see Ezreal opted for the cleanse there. Of course, I mean playing against an Ashe and Ornn, you definitely want to make sure that you don't get caught out by those arrows. Make sure that you can play safer with that cleanse there.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of good Rs for the Silas to steal as well. Mainly like just the Seraphine art in itself is so powerful
Yeah.
on the Silas because now he can even act like as an engage, right? On the UCLA side. And we also saw Faker's performance
Oh,
at
yeah.
the game where he stole Rakan's art and just basically won the game for T1. So maybe Silas
So maybe
here
this
can
is another
can
coming of Faker right here. But
so
yeah, I mean,
anyone who picks Silas is gonna be Faker wanna be in UCEI. We're just proclaiming it right here.
but I definitely like to take note that UC Berkeley's only form of engage is definitely just that Zac, which can be cancelled easily by that Janna.
Yeah.
Very easily countered there. So I think it's definitely important for them in their team fight oriented comp to make sure that they set up around objectives early and get that vision to make sure that they don't have to push into a team without their main engage basically.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to point out, I think Berkeley side also has a pretty good counter engage, considering they do have the Hui to like keep front and backing, and then the
Yeah.
Seraphine to keep people alive, as well as her R as a very great tool to stop people's engage once they're coming in. But UCLA also has the ability to pick with the Ashe arrows. They are pretty annoying. I remember like when Ashe was dominating as the support role, it's like 30 seconds, one arrow. All right, burn your flash or you're gonna die. That arrow, we did not miss that arrow. I hope you guys didn't either. But yeah, let's see how precise these Ashe arrows are. If they
Yeah.
burn a flash on the Berkeley side, it's gonna be very beneficial because all these champs are very immobile, right?
Yeah.
So it's easy to catch them out and just chase them down as the UCLA side.
So I think important things to note for sure in these team fights: how are these Ashe arrows going to land? Are they going to be able to land? And these Zac engages, making sure that they can get something good off. Because if Zac isn't able to get a gauge off, he's kind of just like they're not really doing much. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, definitely. And we see here Ash actually took Barrier as the summer spell. Pretty interesting. I personally don't see like Ezreal, besides Ezreal, no other ADCs usually take that. So maybe there's some secret tech going on right there.
I think Very is actually very common nowadays for most
hmm
ADCs, just lower cooldown, and their supports are going to be able to take heal. No Ignite actually from either, so it seems like it's going to be very safe.
It's
So
the very chill bot lane,
very
you
chill
know,
bot lane, which I
enchanter
mean, we'll
support.
definitely have to see what Janna and Seraphine can do in
hmm
terms of roaming. I mean, Janna has so much like movement
hmm
speed from the start, so
Exactly.
I mean, it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see what Cuddly is able to do on the early levels if he's able to support that Silas, even go top lane or go for early grub fights. So.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely want to see UCEI pull out those more mid jungle 2v2s
Mhm.
because Graves and Silas are just so much stronger than Zac and Hui in the early game. Like, what is Hui gonna do? Throw out some very low damage spell in the early game?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the Zac definitely needs to hit like level 3 or level 6 to even like gank people effectively, right? Mainly he just wants to like full clear for the most part, but Graves can look for like a jungle invade. So need to see which game plan they're gonna choose.
Yeah, and look at the runes here. Actually, Hui opted for the first strike, which is very, is able to get that extra gold in lane, especially when you're playing
hmm
against a melee champ in the
Yeah,
mid lane like
definitely.
Silas. So we'll see if he's able to get accelerated because of that and get that gold needed to excel in those team fights.
Yeah, and from like a more individual like laning phase standpoint, I want to see fights just be able to control that wave right in front of his tower to avoid getting ganked. Because Silas, even though he is short range, as I say, he has so much potential for setting up ganks and. Like once that E lands on you, it's just so much damage sticking on you, and you're
Yeah,
just
once
gonna
the chain
die.
lands, yep.
And we actually see a pause here coming from I forgot which side it was, but we should be going to the game very shortly.
Do you know what the pause was for?
You know, they said car accident in chat, but I don't think that's real. I think that's fake news. All right. Yeah, we just see some League player language going on there. I couldn't understand what they were saying. You know, I think I'm just casting here today.
Yeah, looks like we're just gonna have a bit of a wait here
hmm
while we wait for this pause to be
Yeah.
settled.
What do you think about the new format for Worlds since they're also splitting, NA
Uh,
into?
yeah, I mean, if you're talking specifically about the LCS conversion into the
hmm
LTO, I mean, or LTA, sorry, it's definitely a lot of changes for sure. I'm not the biggest fan of the best of ones that they're gonna have in the middle of the split. Best of ones, I just don't think showcase a team skill nearly as much as best of threes or best of fives, but I understand for the sake of time and also for the sake of the new international tournament, which I believe
hmm
is also gonna have a lot of best of ones and his fearless draft.
Oh
It
yeah,
might be
I
it might
I
be
was
beneficial to practice best of ones for sure.
yeah I was very excited to see that, especially because as League is just evolving into more and more champions.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm tired of seeing the same five
yeah.
champions being picked every
Despite over
game.
like 100, 50, 60 champions,
hmm
we seem to always see the same like 40 champions in pro play. So
Yeah.
fearless draft is definitely gonna mix it up a bit.
hmm
If those of you who don't know what fearless draft is, basically any champion that you pick during a match, you cannot pick it for the rest of the series. So if it's a best of five and you pick like Silas in game one, no team is able to pick Silas in game two, three, four, like the rest of the series basically. So it's definitely gonna diversify the champ pool a little bit there.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna change up the BP strategy a little bit more, right?
Oh
So for
yeah.
example, like maybe sometimes you're like, oh, I don't want to pick that champion right here, but what if the other team just takes that
Yeah.
stronger, like more meta champion, and
hmm
that champion's gone for the rest of the series? So very interested to see how people adapt to the game, despite League being like such an old game.
Yeah.
I think Riot is still trying their best and like doing a very good job at just making this game interesting,
Oh
adding
yeah.
new stuff in every
So
season.
the rules can definitely be very confusing, but I mean they're doing their best to mix it up a bit and make sure that it's so exciting.
Definitely.
And
Yeah, I feel like it's so strange not seeing some champs being picked in Worlds this year because of the meta shift.
mhm,
Like, for example, you're so used to seeing TF, Azir,
mhm,
like all these very standard mid lane control mage or
yeah,
something that controls the macro.
yeah,
But this year, because of the how meta is just so hectic, we don't actually see TF. We don't see Azir just farming mid lane, and
yeah,
Riot just kind of like threw so
definitely.
much um, nerfs on them, so definitely makes sense.
Definitely high Yone and Silas pile, so melee mids this time around in Worlds rather than just these control mages.
Yeah,
They're definitely
definitely.
high in prio and ban. So
And I mean,
um,
if you want to play like control mage, I think you just go for Smolder and just just stack.
yeah, I mean, you want to play something late scaling? I mean, not control mages
You
anymore.
wanna
Just
turn your
Smolder.
brain off and just
Yeah.
farm for like 20 minutes.
I mean, you know, personally, I'm not the biggest fan of Smolder. Nah, I wish he would get a rework. I don't think it's healthy for the game. Makes games boring, you know. And it hurts to see that Genji beat FlyQuest with Smolder at the
Oh
end.
yeah.
As an NA fan myself.
I was
super
also
devastated.
sniffing on an NA copium for a little bit since it was like 2-2, you know?
It was 2-1. And
Alright,
it looks like the
and
game has started. Actually,
we're in
pause.
game.
Yeah. All right. Looking at the lane matchups, I'm definitely interested to see this Ornn definitely probably be playing weak side as he is playing the tank. So I'll have to see how he fares. I think they might focus a lot of attention on that top side because they do want to avoid that the power of the Ashe and the power of the Silas. So I'll definitely have to see how that goes.
Yeah, and you also mentioned that Juicebox is, you know, a Challenger League player, right?
Yeah.
Like that skill definitely still transfers to Comp League, even though it's slightly different. You know, you're communicating with 5 other people. You might get ganked more if you're not careful. You can just play very recklessly like you do in solo queue. So we might see UCLA
like
targeting
in solo
the,
queue.
So Aatrox.
We might see
in-game.
UCLA
Like
targeting in solo queue. So
Aatrox.
we might see
in-game.
UCLA targeting in solo queue. So
Aatrox.
we might see
in-game.
UCLA targeting in solo queue. So
Aatrox.
we might see UCLA targeting in solo queue. So
Aatrox.
we
And I think we're currently experiencing a little bit technical difficulties.
Yeah,
but
just a little bit.
yeah, if we see on the minimap, we do see UCLA is currently invading Cal's rest side.
Yeah, they're definitely pinging a lot onto the top side of Berkele there. Doesn't seem like they're going to have a ward. They'll be able to spot Zach coming in. We'll see how this works out. Seems like they only want to just take that top side there. See if they're able to catch out that Zach.
Yeah. You know, I think this minimap gaming is also pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, lots of things we're able to watch here.
I can just use my own imaginations to know what's going on, you know?
So it looks like they do have to back off there. Berkele, Zach, and Aatrox are just going to lane. Looks like Zach is going to steal Graves' Raptors, actually. And it looks like this might be a slip map.
Yeah.
Where Graves would clear
And
the
we
top
actually
side.
see the lane swap coming in this game. I remember yesterday there was no lane swap. It's just a very standard laning phase. But now we're actually seeing things getting spiced up a little bit.
Oh yeah, and you're going to see the Janna is actually in the mid lane, going to be helping out the Silas there in the early levels. Seraphine is going to come up the way, try to help that way out too. So there's going to be a share of XP for the top laner, Lurker and Ashe there.
Yeah.
Ezreal was just by himself getting that solo XP, it seems.
And I wonder if collegiate teams have actually practiced this lane swapping technique, you know, because I don't think it's easy to pull off. If you miss
It's
a
not.
couple waves or so, that one player is just going to be very behind on your team. It's just not about mindlessly following the enemy team, you know?
It looks like we might have a dive attempt on this Aatrox here, which is what the goal of this lane swap seems to be. I don't know if we can get a pan to over there. But
Yeah,
I mean, on the
Aatrox
map,
is still level 1, but the Seraphine is there now. See a lot of pings, a lot of
pings,
yeah, a
lot
lot of
and they
icons
seem to be
stacked on top of
diving
each other.
under tower. His health is getting really low if you see on the side, and that is going to be first blood going over to Graves there.
And the Seraphine
Ew.
had to burn both
Seems
subs
like
and
Seraphine
also going
is
down.
also caught out as well. That is huge from the side of UCLA, and it seems like Ezreal is going to be just getting those plates there on the bot side.
Alright guys, we have fixed our technical difficulties.
Fixed our technical difficulties. So now we actually see.
Actually, can you guys even tell that we're just yapping off of like minimap only? We're just the goats, and we see here there's a second round of time coming out, or
Ornn is able to flash in. Yep, and the Aatrox just dies. Seraphine also flashes, but the tornado lands. She has CC, and Ornn is able to secure that final kill on Seraphine. So that's huge from the side of UCLA.
yeah, especially with this Aatrox pick, right? Like as Aatrox going against Ornn, you definitely want those early game advantages to help translate your lead to the rest of your team. But now UCLA just made such a decisive play in the top
lane
lane
too. Get a replay here. It seems like they're just forced like back under between the turrets. They're just diving them. lots of flashes utilized to get this 2 kills. That's going to be a huge gold swing in favor of UCLA.
Yeah, it is worth to mention that Ezreal was just, chilling in the bot lane.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Also
he's getting his
got a
farm
turn
up, trying to do
plating.
as much as he can to that turret, but only gets 1 plate because of the increased resistances before 5 minutes. So, not going to be able to get too much back, but at least he got something.
Yeah. So now we see that UCLA is actually sending Ashe to lane against the Aatrox solo up there. I mean, they think it's probably pretty safe now that Aatrox has no flash, and you can just treat it as Ashe top, which is really annoying to deal against as a melee ranked champion right now.
Yeah, meanwhile, Ornn is going to be laning down here on the bot lane. TP down, and actually importantly, Aatrox did not use his CP, so he still has his CP advantage there. So we'll see how that he can set up for success in the future of that.
Yeah, and I think this game is kind of like a prime example of how pro play can affect your own collegiate gameplay or your own,
Oh, yeah.
amateur gameplay, right? Like, I don't think in solo queue you're gonna see players just lane swapping like this. Kind of unexpected.
Yeah, I don't think solo queue has evolved to that strat just yet, but we'll see.
Maybe if when they add voice channel.
Get some vision here, but he's caught out by Gyu. We'll see if he's able to dash over the
Yeah,
the
should be
pit,
fine.
and should be fine. Yeah.
Especially Zac
They're
covering.
coming in. They're
Oh,
wanna
we
fight
see
this.
a skirmish
Silence goes
here,
in, but
actually,
he's
and-
instantly popped by the Zac. So it's Gyu in trouble. Double kill by the Zac there, Dark Lord. And it seems like Cuddly is going to be in trouble here, trying to run away, but has flash still. Is able to flash away, taken low, but is able to get out.
Yeah, so
And,
that was kind of like a careless play coming up from the UCLA side, right?
I think
Like
that was
you don't know who's sitting in those dark vision, and they just kind of went for it.
I think that was a bit of an overextension there, definitely. Didn't know that all those players were rotated there.
Yeah, just making this game interesting,
Yeah.
And after, first 2 kills going to UCLA, Berkele actually is now equaling kills and with a slight advantage in gold because of all the turret plating that they were eating when the dive was happening.
Yeah, I mean, Ezreal is up like 10, 12 CS on. Oh, meanwhile, we have a fight here as Ashe is going in on Juicebox. Juicebox is looking to be caught out, has no flash from the earlier dive. And they'll see if they can try to get Seraphine, but doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, and I mean, Aatrox game right now is just miserable. You don't want to be this behind as a bruiser who needs to go to get your items, your power spikes, right?
I mean, he's buying 2 Ruby Crystals, definitely very defensive items. But teleporting back in, but Gyu is still here. Seems like they might want to try to dive this again, but I don't think there's a threat. As Juicebox goes in on Gyu, gets hit by every ability, but not enough damage yet. As I said, only built defensive items so far.
Yep, and we see here Gil might be just looking to start.
Just starts up the grubs here, a little low, but there's no rotations out from the side of Berkele. It seems like Berkele wants to trade for that Drake there, so just gonna be a a handshake of objectives here.
Yeah, which is completely fine, like when the other team is getting one side objective, you definitely just want to get as much resources as you can on the other side. And we do see here Ezreal is building up a pretty decent amount of CS lead against the Ashe because he's able to just chill in the bot lane and farm this all time, but Ashe is experiencing all these hectic moments in top lane.
Yeah, and this Ornn definitely not gonna have much kill threat on the Ezreal, so he's just gonna be farming under tower here. Getting poked down low and lower, but not much kill threat for the Ornn, as he is a nice healthy tank.
Yep. And I mean, if this Ezreal is able to get a lead and get fed, it's actually pretty hard for UCLA to deal with him with Cleanse and his Arcane Shift. So I think UCLA, while they're shutting down the Aatrox, they also gotta make sure the other 2 carries are also getting suppressed.
Yeah, for sure. As we see here, slight gold lead on the side of fights, but not much else is happening. Has that first strike ready.
Yep, we do see Seraphine rotating down again. I think this game, both supports are probably just going to be a little bit starved in terms of EXP because how much roaming is going on right here.
Say, just some wave
Oh,
clear in
the
the mid lane
Janna
here.
over
But Janna
here.
is here.
Just being annoying, not really anything happening. The enchanter supports say hi to each other.
Supportive combat, just some nice friendly interactions there.
And I think right now we're finally back to the normal assignment of lanes.
Yeah, seems like they switched back. They got what they wanted, setting behind the Aatrox, and now they're gonna have the Ornn, relatively safe now. Not much a threat from the Aatrox, and he's able to, lane safely up here. Actually, is trading pretty aggressively with the Aatrox. Seems much stronger right now.
I think one misconception people have about Ornn is like, oh, this champ is a tank. He's not gonna do anything. But or if he's able to hit that brittle, if you ever lane against a good Ord, he can one-shot you. You know,
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
if
his
you're
base
not
damages
careful.
are very high, so despite just building defensive items, he's still going to do a lot of damage, especially in these early levels. So, I mean, setting behind that Aatrox seems to have been the game plan for UCLA, and it's has worked so far.
Yep, and actually both kills Cal side went to the Zac. I mean, while Zac can still build also damage items, you definitely still want to allocate more gold towards your Hui, towards your Ezreal, who are able to output these damages more
Huge trade here. Ult
consistently.
goes in on the Seraphine. She is stunned, but flashes away. Giyu gets the kill though. Able to flash under turret and auto her to death. Really well played there from the side of UCLA.
Now it seems they're going for a dive on the Ezreal.
Seems like they do want to try to cross map
And
for this
another
Ord here,
dive coming
but
from Cal
I
on the top
don't know
side.
if they're going to be able to take him. I mean, he goes in, cancels on World Ender, comes out, tries to no, very low health, and they are able to get the cross map. Successful dive there, although his Zac passive is popped.
Yep, so just
Pretty
plays and plays going on both sides of the map right now. Very, very spicy.
Yeah, good counter action from Berkele there. Sees that their Seraphine is taken down, but oh wait, actually they were able to dive to Ezreal while that dive top was happening.
Yep.
Seems like he's trying to clear the wave with True Shot Barrage, flashes out, but I mean, seems like it's just so hard. Takes
Oh, that's actually
Giyu goes
so
down to 1
close.
HP.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what happened there, but I think Seraphine burned both her sums, and she still got hit by the Ash Arrow, and that just kind of shows you how powerful the Ash Arrow is, right? And now, once that R is off cooldown again, she's just gonna, pick the lucky one and
yeah.
shoot it at the Ezreal and the Seraphine who do not have flash.
I think it's important to note that Berkele still has that slight gold advantage, but all the kills went over to Zac. I mean, that's gonna be a tank. I mean, he's building some AP items right here, but he's not really the one you want that gold on.
Exactly.
And I mean, this Grace already has Youmuu's Ghostblade, a huge damage item, so he's spiking very hard for. I mean, it's gonna be tough to contest these grubs. I mean, they're setting up over for UCLA. Might get all 6 grubs here, which is gonna be huge for getting those plates and getting that tower damage.
Yep. And even though the Aatrox did get help from Zac earlier, it was just like a wave up of EXP. He didn't really
Looks
get
like
the
they
kill.
might try to dive the Ashe here. Doesn't land the E, but she's able to bury her out at Flash, and they're able to secure the kill on the Ashe. But
And
Jenna
is here.
and is able to get the shutdown onto a Dark Lord there.
Shut down.
And I think another problem that Zac is gonna run into is that because he's building just AP item, he's not really gonna have the defensiveness to deal with his Graves when it's still pretty early, right? Like, so I think Berkele needs to take it slower, wait for their Hui to hit like 3 items, the Ezreal to hit 3 items to maybe have a chance to go against UCLA in terms of team fights because of how strong this Graves is.
But I mean, UCLA also scales too, so it's going to be interesting to see what their game plan is going to be here. I mean, the Sylas, the Ornn, the Ashe, I mean, those are all, and even the Graves, just huge threats damage-wise and front to back too. I mean, we were highlighting how they have a lot of picked engagements, but they also can just play front to back with that Ornn and Ashe, so.
And I'm actually surprised that mid lane didn't really get any actions this game because I thought the Sylas was gonna be, participating in more skirmishes early on to utilize his
Slight trade
advantage
here
against the
aside of
Hui.
top lane. And I think, it's important to note that we were talking about how Juicebox is the challenger, highest rank, but he's a rookie. He's new to the roster this year. So, I mean, he might not be used to things like lane swap that you wouldn't ever see in solo queue. So maybe that was UCLA's plan to shut him down. Meanwhile, we have a gank here. Is able to interrupt the Zac gank with her ultimate Janna. They go in on the Seraphine, who has no flash, but looks like we have an engagement. Wait, is a little caught out here. He's able to fear the Graves, and it seems like they'll have to disengage a little. Health bars are low a bit on the side of UCLA. Pokes down with True Shot Barrage even further on Giyu.
Yeah, so we kind of see why UCLA picked Janna right there, right? Like, it's just so many ways to interrupt the Zac. And as we mentioned, Berkele's only very safe engagement is the Zac just getting in there and jumping in there to hit people. But once that's interrupted, they just kind of have to play front to back and disengage.
Looks like they're going to be starting up the drag here.
Sylas is here.
still
Sylas
up.
wants to steal Seraphine
Sylas
and
steals the
does steal it.
Seraphine. They're going to be finishing the drag. Going to be trying to go for the finish. Yeah, Sylas goes in, ults in the Zac. They go in on the Zac, able to take him down. But huge 3-man ult from Seraphine, able to flash away. Arrow comes out to disengage, and it seems like UCLA is able to take 1 kill in that Drake off from UC Berkeley.
Yeah, so we kind of see what Silas can do in action too, right? He can
Hold
just
on a minute. Might catch out? No.
yeah, he can just steal enemies' art and just pick you off and act as another form is engaged. And even though Aatrox rotated down, nothing really was able to be gained for the side of Berkele.
Yeah. I mean, that's a huge win. Stops that Drake stacking, I'm sorry, from Berkele. And I mean, they're sitting at 6 scrubs, 1 Drake. It's looking really good for game state on the side of UCLA. Has a sizable, 700 gold lead. Not the best, not the most, but definitely impactful with the objectives they've gone so far.
Yep, and we see Hui completing his first item, but Ezreal still waiting for, oh, actually he just got it in base. So now Berkele has slight more power to fight against UCLA, but still, how are you going to deal with this Graves, who's probably just going to one-shot in a few autos, right?
Looks like they're going in on the Ornn on the top side. Gyu stops the lift herald to try to help him. Health bars are low. Redemption comes out, heals up the members of the top side. Gyu getting engaged on, but the bot lane is here with Silas. Silas comes in, ults the Zac, one-shots him. Juicebox is on the wrong side of the map. Nurture is able to flash out at super low health. Oh, he's actually
so
one-shot.
close.
Unending Despair, missed by Fights. Cuddly and Nurture is so low, but he gets sniped by Fights.
Well,
Seems like Silas is still going in on Juicebox. Juicebox was actually able to get out from that situation. Seems like he was able to flash out. I think I missed that, but wow. Really
what
well
a
played from the side of Berkele
hectic
there.
fight right there.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, that was a 1-for-1, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but so many summoners traded right there
Yeah.
actually. I think one thing that Berkele needs to keep in mind of going forward in this game is that their formation cannot just be split like that by UCLA. Like in the fight right there, even though the Aatrox lived, he needs to stick with the front line or the back line to protect him and act as the meat shield and just continuously output his damage instead of, going in and not keeping mind of where his teammates are.
Yeah. And one thing I'd like to know, maybe, I'm not sure if I saw an Ash Arrow, but maybe Ash could have helped impact that fight with an Ash Arrow. I mean, you never know.
Yep, and I think that's kind of the other hard thing to play when you're like just coming from solo queue and going into a comp game, right? Your brain is just processing so many things at once. You're communicating with teammates,
Zac is
and
trying to go
so
in
fights are
here,
going
but
on here and
Gyu
right
is
here.
covering. Trying to get that bot lane tier 1 tower, and it seems like they're able to get it. That's a huge amount of gold funneled into the Ezreal there, 600.
You see the orange just,
Gonna,
he's
walk
tar
off.
plating and he's chilling.
But definitely a lot of gold on the side of this Ezreal and this Hui, so they're definitely going to be playing for them as some damage carries here.
The Hui actually going for a very safe build. Even the Berk Tread's coming in to make sure that even when he does get hit by those Ash arrows,
Yeah, I
he
mean,
can escape very
lots
quickly.
of CC on the side of UCLA, so super important to get those Merc Treads up. Also helps in lane against the Silas, who does magic damage, so definitely a nice purchase there from the Hui. Seems like UCLA is maybe trying to set up the Herald here. Not sure if Berkele is going to try to contest. Seems
Yeah.
like Seraphine is trying to clear some wards here. Ezreal almost gets caught out, but is able to Arcane Shift away. True Shot Barrage lands on Cuddly.
Well, the
Zac
Zac
goes
does
in,
come
he's able to flash, gets a huge ult on the top. Unending Despair goes on Nurture. Nurture has to get out. Gyu is taken out. Double kill from the Ezreal. That's a huge team fight from the side of Berkele. He's able to take down the Herald too. That is a 3 for 0 and Herald. Huge gold swing in favor of Berkele, and then able to push these turrets as well. Might be able to get the top tier 1. Dark Lord is able to take that blue as well.
Yep, so maybe the gold going onto Zac wasn't the worst thing out of all, right? You see him just flashing in and reading 3 people once, and that was a lot of damage coming from the Leandries and just the AP ratio from this champion, right? And I think UCLA was definitely a little just not aware of the angles that the Zac can be coming from, because when you play against a champ like Zac, you need to be warding all those farther areas to make sure that you're not just getting caught off guard.
Oh yeah. I mean, despite what I said earlier about the Zac engages, I mean, he's been finding really great engages so far. And I mean, the AoE damage from the Zac, who's building AP and away, I mean, they're just health bars just get deleted if they group up too much.
Yep, and there's just so many wombo combos that UC Berkele can do with the Hui, with the Ezreal. You just press your R key, and their
exactly.
H bar is gonna disappear. So,
So I think it's really important for UCLA to get that one pick, engage first, fight, and get that numbers advantage in order to win these team fights. Otherwise, they might get picked off by all this poke that Hui Ezreal will have, as well as their wombo combos.
And I think Aatrox, interestingly enough, he's actually going for a more supportive build with the Black Cleaver as his first item instead of the more standard bruiser, you know, I carry this game type of vibe.
I mean, he was set behind early, but I mean, he's been holding his own in his fights, able to support his team pretty well as a pseudo frontline. Seems like they're trying to go in. Rift Herald's tier 1 as taking Drake. Doesn't seem like they're able to fully take down that turret though, but they're able to secure the Drake pretty easily. And
Yeah,
this is Mountain Soul game, which is a very strong soul, so if this does come to the late game, I mean, these Drakes might be super impactful later on.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, for the side of UCLA, they actually don't really deal with tanky champs that well. I mean, there is the Ashe, but Ashe is not really known for shutting down the tanks very quickly. And the Ore and the Graves, with Graves going the lethality build. If the Zac, if the Aatrox get this Mountain Soul paired with other tanky items, I think UCLA is going to have a hard time just putting out enough damage to kill them.
Oh yeah, so we'll definitely have to see how the team fights in the future are going to shape up. Seems like they're able to actually get a pick onto that Sylas. 4 people overloaded onto the bot side. I'm not sure UCLA is able to get anything in return for that, so I think it's just a free pick, able to threaten that bot lane tier 2. Seems like actually they're going in onto the Janna and the Zekai. TP comes in. Huge 3-man Seraphine again. Ornn comes in, tries to saves them. No one members are taken down yet. Importantly, Zekai is firing down. Finally taken down by Juicebox, but Seraphine gets taken down as well. Grace is trying to escape right now. Ezreal and Dark Lord are on him. Aatrox is continuing to go on Nurture. Great Gyu is still alive. I think he will, be taken down here though. And at the meantime, I mean, Wei is taking down that turret, gets a huge 750 gold too. So overall, positive on the side of Berkele there.
Yeah, so definitely an overextension coming on from the Ashe. I mean, as an immobile ADC, you really don't want to be overextending that far up, especially with Sylas just taken down by the side of Berkele in your own jungle towards bot side. So I think a bit of a miscommunication over there going on. You definitely want to play safely, right? And now you lose your mid tower, which is very
important. They're going to be starting up a Baron here, actually.
For playing against a comp like that.
UCLA is too aware of it, although I do see pings on the Baron pit. They want to get that vision there. They're going down. It seems like they are aware of it now. TP comes in. It seems like they want to all in this Baron. I'm not sure this might be the right play here, but we'll see how it shapes up. I mean, Zekai coming in. It's getting really low. They might be able to finish it. Are they able to get out? If they do, Nurture goes in. Doesn't get to find a knockup, though. Juicebox, Word Ender applied. Sylas is on the backline. Is able to get the Seraphine, while Gyu is doing massive damage to Juicebox here. Nurture frontline so much damage. Ezreal is able to get out, trying to do as much damage as he can, but Nurture is able to take out Zac passive pops. Sylas is taken extraordinarily low, and it seems like they are able to finish the Baron, but lose 2 members in the process. We'll see if the side of UCLA can do anything with this tempo they have right now. Take down this turret. I think it's going to be super important to see what Berkele is able to do with this Baron that they got.
Yeah, and I think there was a split decision coming from Berkele side, because I believe 2 members started shifting up and exiting the Baron pit instead of just staying together and grouping up to fight against the side of UCLA, which is why UCLA was able to pick 2 fights where they had numbers advantage and just take them off one by one, right? So I think when it comes to competitive play, you really have to make sure you stick to the same decision moving forward as a team.
Yeah. I mean, we have the replay up right here.
And we see,
like
Seraphine and the Hui just,
splits up, and I mean, Sylas is able to go in on them 1v2. He's able to zone them both off, and meanwhile 4v3 in the Baron pit. I mean, they're just able to take them out. Importantly though, Ezreal was able to get out with his Arcane Shift. That's the mobility from that Ezreal right there. It seems like they're able to take out 2 members.
Yeah, and I was saying how, for the UCLA side, they might have issues going through the front line for the UC Berkele side, but if your backline just decides to go off and do their own thing, your front line carefully protects you.
Oh yeah. But I mean, they're going to be trying to siege here with the Baron, see if they can get any more gold off from this Baron play.
Yep. I mean, UC Berkele has a pretty good siege here with the Hui and Ezreal if they're able to poke, and look at that damage on the Ashe already.
Yeah, huge damage coming out. I mean, very squishy on the side of Janna and Ashe, so I mean, if they're able to get that important poke off, I mean, they'll have to back.
Yeah, and we see the Zac is also looking to engage right here.
Oh, Nurture goes in. Arcane Shift out. He's trying to go out. I think John is able to interrupt the Zac there for Tornado. Seems like Sylas did steal Zac ult. we'll see if anything comes out of this fight, and it seems like they're just going to back off, head the Drake, which comes in 40 seconds. I mentioned before, I mean, Mountain Soul would be absolutely huge for either of these teams.
Yep, and we see here it's kind of the very standard area mid lane after you get that Baron. UCEI is just, you know, very united to fight against these Baron up minions.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like they want to team fight Berkele. I mean, sending one member to split push might be risky with the Ashe arrow, the Ornn ult. They might be able to catch out a split member like really easily, so it's like they're opting for this 5-man team fight instead.
Yeah, definitely want to clear out those vision as the side of UC Berkeley to get that advantage, to utilize your comp strength, right? Just making sure your champs can get those angles, get those engages without the enemies even knowing to set up around the dragon. And it seems UCLA might be giving this drag as they're all recalling right now.
I mean, they seem to be giving up soul point. It's not the soul yet, so they might want to be waiting for on those power spikes here. I mean, Graves is, you know, a bit more gold away from LDR, and it seems like Ashe, same thing. So they want to get those power spikes, be able to shred through the front line of Berkele.
And the Ornn is still level 13, so they definitely want to. They're probably just saying, "Oh, let's wait for the Ornn to get his upgrades out to the team." I kind of feel bad for the Ashe though. I mean, if the Ashe was more fed, they can probably deal with Berkele a little more effectively if she's able to stay alive with the right positioning. But now it's kind of like, oh, the Thaldi Graves, even though he's working towards his armor pen item, but it's gonna be a while.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm gonna be interested to see what happens in the upcoming fights. Are they gonna be able to get their power spikes? I mean, we see Berkele with their 3-item power spikes on the way, on the Ezreal, their main damage carries.
And the Ezreal and the Hui, both of them have, you know, both summoners up, flashes up, Ezreal cleanses it up, flashes it up, and Arcane Shift is up. So how is UCLA gonna creatively just take down those carries on the side of Berkele, right?
Yeah. I mean, they have a lot of pick options with that arrow, that Ornn ult, so they're going to have to find an advantageous
Maybe
fight.
an angle on the Hui right now.
Yeah.
It's like the only moment you can take down this little immobile mage.
Yeah.
But playing very safely, retreating to the tower as he pushed down another wave.
Seems like they're just going to be, you know, cloning out mid waves, waiting for the next objective, which is Baron in 130.
Yep, and the Zag coming in here.
Getting engaged on, not able to cancel the knockup. He's getting airborne. He has to hold. His health bar is getting lower and lower, but he's still alive. And Ashe is able to come to the fight. They knock up Dark Lord, sorry. But huge again for the Seraphine, as well as the Wei doing a massive AoE damage. UCLA has to run away. That guy fighting Juicebox is taken down, and this might just be game here. You running away. Can he just clear out the waves? I think he can. But they'll be able to take these turrets here. I mean, it seems like they're pushing for that inhib turret. I'm not sure they can actually end, but
yeah,
I mean, massive team fight
Dark
again.
Lord this game, just so many decisive engages coming up around him. I mean, even if it does look risky, I think he's really trusting his teammates to, you know, output those damages, output those important Rs. And I mean, Seraphine was very patient with her R, actually.
I mean,
she waited for everyone to
Q.
come in.
Oh, actually, health bars are low on the side of Berkele. Let's see if they could be able to disengage. But importantly, if they back here, Temple comes back to UCLA, they might be able to sneak up Baron here if they want.
And there's a TP coming out from the side of UCLA right here.
Yeah, try to TP flank. Ornn is on the side. They are very low. Let's see if he can. Nurture can't do anything here. He is alone right now. Has to wait for his team. But they're all grouped up. Not many ults. Misses the engage, but cancels on Dark Lord from the Diana. Diana has to ult. Disengage right here. It seems that healing from Seraphine, though, is absolutely massive. Their health bars are just not going down, and Q is low. Wow, Ezreal was just hitting every Q right now.
But the
Silas
Soul
gets
and
the Q,
Seraphine
though.
are.
They're able to burst down the Zac, and Nurture. I'm sorry, I mean Ezreal. That guy is going on Ezreal. Has to cleanse, but he shuts him down. Dark Lord is able to get out, but he might not survive for long. He's healing, though. And it seems like he's going to be taken down here, unless, I mean, yeah, and this is going to be a Baron on the side of UCLA, so massive TP flank. I mean, it seems like in the mid lane, they're trying to go for Juicebox as well.
I hear the Ornn.
Yeah. Juicebox trying to clear the wave, make sure that they don't have any waves to play on after they get Baron, but, I mean, it might mean his death here against Nurture. It seems like, oh.
We have a black screen going on right here, but let's analyze the last fight a little bit. So I think
we're back.
I think that's kind of like the common solo queue mistake you also see. Like you win one fight, you just want to keep going and going and going instead of recalling and resetting your tempo. Because once you're finished with your like attack round, for example, the enemy can just start defending, right? But if you stay there, and they're like responding with all the fresh items and the fresh stats, then you're just gonna lose Baron like that very easily.
Yeah, and I mean that it all starts with that TP flank from Nurture, or a really good call from him or whoever called that. And I thought the Seraphine healing was gonna be massive in that fight, but I mean Silas is able to steal the Seraphine ult and get a massive ult off, catching out Dark Lord there.
And we kind of saw the UC Berkeley formation also getting split up, right? You see the Ezreal just kind of running towards the other side and also failing the Arcane ship a little bit because it was a very anxious situation for the side of UC Berkeley. But now we're gonna move to Soul Point, and I mean UCLA now has kind of the upper edge again, I think, after that fight with all the Sunsburn on the side of UC Berkeley. So interesting to see how this next engage is gonna pan out. Is the Ashe gonna hit an arrow on the important carry, or is the Zac gonna do his thing again?
I definitely want to see. I mean, this is Soul Point. I mean, this is gonna be Soul on the side of
There's
Berkeley,
actually
so
so much goal lead coming from the Hui. That's like a 4K goal lead.
Yeah, that is
on
absolutely
one
crazy.
lane.
Although they might be engaging on Seraphine here. Seems like they're able to back off. Lots of vision on the side of Berkeley here and on UCLA, but they're clearing it now. UCLA has control of the Drake pit, and I mean, Berkeley might just have to give this one up. I mean, Barons are threatening their mid push too. Seems like they're gonna go push mid. Seals away the Seraphine ult. That is gonna be huge. Might want to watch the Silas on his engages there.
Yeah, I don't know if as UC Berkeley want to be walking through these chokes rather than walking through middling as the safer option.
I mean, one misstep and they're gonna get CC'd by Arrow, by Ornal. It's gonna be absolutely massive. It seems like
Zac
they're gonna
is
be
on
let
the side.
into the pit though, into the river. I'm sorry, they're bursting that Drake. And they're able to get the Drake. Juicebox goes in, a long, huge cancel from the ult. Huge 3-man Silas Seraphine ult. It seems like Graves is able to do massive damage. Double kill on the side. Silas is on the back line. Huge arrow as well. Triple kill on the side of Gyu there. And that's an absolute huge fight. They're able to push top. They might be able to take, I mean, inhib turrets here. Seems like they're trying to chase the Ezreal, see if they can kill him. Nurture just taking like 4 or 5 turret shots there. They're going in on Ezreal. Ezreal's trying to clear the wave, but he has to flash out. Disengage. This might be end here. I mean, 10 seconds on the
trying
Seraphine.
really hard to protect.
No ult on the Seraphine either. I mean, this just might just be game. They're taking down, and it seems like UCLA flash in from Gyu does so much damage to Ezreal, absolutely one-shots him. And I think that's just going to be game by the side of UCLA. An excellent team fight there at the end.
Wow, what a back and forth game coming from both sides. It's just kind of like each side is capitalizing on the other team's mistake.
Yeah.
Like the overstay on the Baron, the indecisiveness calling like whether or not we go for this dragon. But I think one important thing for teams in this tournament to keep in mind is just, you know, be patient. I think with how the comps play out, with the late game insurance that you have, you don't really have to go for these very unnecessary plays.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, seems like both teams were making a few mistakes there, but in the end, I mean, UCLA got that massive team fight at the end and able to secure that victory. I mean, absolutely massive. And that means with this win, they are going to be qualified and going to LAN and facing Irvine in the semifinals. So,
Yep.
super, super exciting for them.
And no worries to UCLA, you know, our school. They can still go into the losers bracket for a second round of chance. So still, you know, possibilities for them to go to LAN and experience how good the competitives can be.
Yeah. And I mean,
I couldn't predict who was gonna win that game. It was just so back and forth.
I mean, as I said, I suspected it was gonna be a close game, and it really was. I mean, both teams, not much of a goal diff there at the end. It was just based on execution of the team fight. So, I mean, really well played there by UCLA. Really nice try by Berkeley.
Yep,
I mean,
definitely.
they had some absolutely great team fights, but just that last one, they weren't able to execute.
And the lane swapping and everything. So moving forward, I also want to see other teams bring out their own, you know, crazy picks or like troll picks or some other strategies.
That lane swap was able to, you know, neutralize Juicebox, who's the challenger carry, super well there. So pretty well played on the macro side for UCLA.
Yep. So that was first game of day 2 of UCEI's league tournament, and we're gonna see you soon after a quick ad break.
Our new Xfinity gateways can support hundreds of devices.
Up your internet game. Am I right?
I'm over here.
Am I close?
Get a strong connection to power hundreds of devices with ultra-low lag.
Marco?
Bring on the good stuff.
Let's say you're deep in a show, or a game, or the game, on a train, at home, at work. Okay, maybe not at work. Point is, at Xfinity, we're constantly engineering new ways to get the entertainment you love to you faster and easier than ever. That's what I do. Is that Love Island?
I got it too!
Love to game? With Xfinity, you can upgrade your speed to keep slaying zombies like it's your day job.
It is my day job!
Upgrade your internet speed for the ultimate gaming experience. Bring on the good stuff.
Welcome back, guys. Sorry for the short technical delay. I'm Zandy.
And I'm Anthony.
And welcome back to UCEI, sponsored by Xfinity. So due to some technical issues, as well as Davis forfeiting their second match, we will now be moving on to the third match today between UCSB and UCSD.
Right. UC Davis forfeiting their match against Berkele. That would have happened right now. That means that they are going to be moving into LAN automatically. And so, of course, like we said, we're going to be having this match between UCSD and UCSB. On the red side here, we have UCSB, who notably actually won the coin toss, but they opted for red side. So maybe they're cooking interesting things with the draft that we have here below. And on the blue side, we have UCSD. As far as for like interesting things from both of these teams, you know, besides just the characters that they picked, we do notice here that they have the Gragas from UCSB, and we've seen that a lot. They actually used it in their game with UC Irvine that happened yesterday. And I really like that Gragas. I think it maybe to a degree it's a kind of a comfort pick because he found a lot of like really valuable ultimates, and it really played well in the team fights. So definitely look out for that Gragas in the top lane on red side. And for blue side, UCSD, again, comfort picks. You have the Hui Rumble, which is a combo that they've been using pretty consistently, and it's garnered them a lot of success there. So I think that's also something to look out for.
You know, meanwhile, they do have Misfortune and Nautilus on the bot side, looking probably for a very aggressive comp. Meanwhile, UCSB is playing a little bit more defensively and KG with Jin and Braun. Jin's gonna have an interesting time proccing Brahm's passive, but I'm sure that UCSB knows something that we don't. Either way, with the combination of Brahm's shield and Jin's W, hopefully they're gonna try and zone out the very aggressive pick from UCSD. Meanwhile, the draft has already begun, so the game will start quite soon. What are your thoughts about the jungle, Anthony?
The jungle, right. So it's going to be Skarner versus Jin Zhao. Jin Zhao, of course, is going to be looking for the fights. Very, like, kind of single target damage focused. And maybe some of his job, perhaps, in this game will be to, like, use his ultimate to kind of peel a little bit. Get them off maybe the Jin or something, as well as the Braum helping to get off the Jin. Get enemies off the Jin. Because, I mean, here you're looking at, like, kind of the comp that UCSB has set up. Jin is kind of the only carry. They have the LeBlanc, which is going to be a little bit deadly in lane. You're going to have her definitely trying to fight the Hui. In fact, I think, would you say LeBlanc is favorable into the Hui? I would think so, given that, like...
Yeah, she does have a lot of teleportation trickeries, as well as ways to fake out the Hui. So it definitely will be interesting to see their matchup today.
It's going to be hard for that Hui to hit the Fierce on such a, like, mobile character there. So... I think, but definitely, I don't know if she would classify as like a damage carry, right? That's mostly going to be the Jin's job, and so I think he's going to definitely be like a person to protect there for UCSB in terms of their game plan. And you were talking about like the other jungle as well, the Skarner. Of course, Skarner, kind of universal in the competitive scene, and no shortage of that here in the collegiate. Just strong in like every measure. That ability to go over walls and hopefully we see some huge impales. I'm excited for that.
It is such a shame that they reworked, though. I can't believe they removed Skarner from the game. But the future comes, and sometimes we all have to adapt to it. Especially some of those of us still rooted in the past.
Don't we all? And as for the standing of these two teams, right? I believe UCSB is going to be the 5th seed in this tournament, whereas UCSD is the 6th seed in this tournament. And so actually pretty equal seeding, and so I think this game is going to give us a run for our money from both teams. I think they're both going to give everything that they got, and it's going to end up pretty close. I don't think it's going to be a wash at all.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Yeah, I think it was a similar story in the last game that we just broadcasted, UCLA versus UC Berkeley. That, of course, we're definitely going to touch on after. Maybe look at some replays because that was a great game. And I think in that situation, it was the 2nd seed versus the 3rd seed. And so it seems like the pattern maybe could be that, like, okay, if you're close in the seeds, you're gonna have a really good match to watch. And so I hope that's the case here. And very interesting drafts to kind of complement that. So definitely going to see a lot of action. I think I'm excited for that.
Most certainly. Either way, I'm sure this game will also be a very in-fight heavy game as well, especially with UCSB's very engaged heavy bot lane, as well as the Rumble too. He's going to be looking to get close with the Gragas, but not too close. Yeah, especially with the way Gragas could zone him out with his barrels and ultimate. But it's definitely going to be a really good game of cat and mouse.
Dangerous game to play there, exactly. As we're going to be heading into this game very soon. So what do you think is going to be like maybe the overall game plan from each team? Do you think they're going to take the early game, be very hostile, or are they going to maybe handshake a little bit?
I think UCSB is going to really want to get for that early game advantage, especially with their engaged heavy comp. I think UCSD will try and play back a little, especially with them being on the red side, as well as having a Xinjiao support as well. They're really going to want to build up their farm and get stronger before striking in the mid or late game.
I agree with that. And I think that's probably what we'll be seeing.
Yeah.
But
one thing's for sure, though, one person here is going to be going home, and I don't think either team wants it to be them.
They're going to be fighting for that. Yeah, exactly. That's actually a big point of this bracket here, where the loser of this is actually going to be completely eliminated, whereas the winner is going to go to LAN, which UCI, UCLA, and UC Berkeley are already projected to go to. And so we're here fighting for that last little spot to get to UCEI as the game gets going.
Now we have a very cinematic shot of the Rift right before the carnage, or as some could say, the scarnage could begin.
The scarnage.
With both teams accumulating in their nexuses, rolling out like the Autobots and the Decepticons. Let's see how this game turns out today.
Man, when did Lee get so beautiful? Kind of forget to take in the surroundings there as both teams heading
big KDA Gragas along with Jin flashing his mastery already, flashing it for the world to see. And it looks like they will be trying to invade the blue buff of red. He's catching out the Nautilus as well with the sweeper. This could be really interesting. Nautilus running under, trying to run under tower, but gets completely collapsed upon, and First Blood comes within only 50 seconds of the game.
That is an immediate pick on the Nautilus, and that is very big. And not only that, right, they're going to have more than enough time to get back to their lanes. I think the Jin here is even going to get it back, and so going to come with an item maybe, or definitely the LeBlanc at least.
Yeah,
that is pretty big.
LeBlanc already buying Darksteel. Looks like she's going to be going really aggressively here, trying to build up those stacks to hopefully shut out mid. No, Nautilus sadly trudging back to his lane. Him and Misfortune are going to have to really pick up the pace on this game if they don't want to fall behind.
Well, speaking of the spot lane, though, I think maybe arguably the Misfortune and the Nautilus are a little bit more favored in that matchup against the Jin and the Braum. Of course, the Jin is immobile, and so he's going to have to rely on that Braum to peel for him, but when you have characters like Misfortune, you know, she's going to get the slowdown, Nautilus is going to get the hook, and eventually, you know, they're both going to combine their ults. It's a lot to deal with. And so I think it's a little bit favored for UCSD here. And so we'll have to see, you know, if that ends up being the case. So maybe even though the Nautilus did give up that kill, perhaps they still win this lane. It's definitely possible.
Definitely. Meanwhile, Rumble and Gragas handshaking it out. Looks like they're going to be touching bellies for a bit. The Gragas does have the upper hand in this situation, especially with his bigger health bar and barrel. Both of them hitting their level 2 power spikes immediately, but does look like they will be continuing to farm. Meanwhile, LeBlanc getting in some cheeky picks on Hui. She definitely has a lot of the mobility tricks to fake out Hui here, so it's going to be really interesting to see who comes out in this mid matchup.
Yeah, totally. You see there, actually, how we were saying, the Hui, it's super hard to land the fear. And so LeBlanc, I think, is going to use that to her most potential. As we have a little bit of trading here top lane, the Gragas, again, a comfort pick, just having his way with the Rumble a tiny bit, slightly up. But the wave is pushing into him.
This could be a really good opportunity for a freeze by the Gragas, though, especially with the Skarner. He knows that he's going to want to play really close to his tower, otherwise the Skarner could pop out of the walls at any moment at all, and collapse upon the Gragas.
It's a dangerous threat, 100%, but you have to keep
now,
track of.
Braum passive almost filled up, but not quite. If it was filled up there, I think Misfortune could have gone down immediately with the Braum jumping onto her, because Jin does have his 4th shot ready at that moment. Now Braum looks like he's going to be trying to get a small angle on the Nautilus, really pushing up ahead now. It doesn't look like anything will come from this little exchange. Now Xin Zhao, starting from the bottom, making his way to the top. Now looks like to be going to the mid, going to the river and trying to gain some vision over priority. This is going to be really important, especially in the early game with Void Grubs. Void Grubs is such a critical objective now to help, and maybe if they can deny UCSD's aggressive comp their Void Grubs, they might not be able to push out the tower as quickly.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that's why the Skarner here, not trying to give that up, definitely hovering around the area. I think we've seen that pattern a lot, where like Void Grubs equates victory. Is this I don't think this is even correlation. I think this is a case of causation here. I mean, we saw it at Worlds, the game like T1 got 6 grubs, that ended up spelling doom for BLG. And you know, you see that time and time. I think you might have even seen it in this tournament. I think UCI, in their game against UCSB here, they had actually gotten a lot more grubs, and they ended up closing that out. And I think a large part of it was because of those. So I think, yeah, both teams definitely interested in playing for that, as we have a couple trades here in the mid lane.
You know, it looks like the junglers will be intersecting now. Skarner throwing his rock at Xin Zhao, but doesn't look like any of them will be trying to engage though. This is really interesting. I thought the Skarner would try and be a little more aggressive here, trying to cut out the mid, however, is in a very tough spot, with LeBlanc absolutely shredding away Hui's HP. He's really, Hui might want to consider looking into some other alternate options, or maybe keeping the wave closer to his tower for an opportunity to get away. Now,
we saw last game a couple of lane swaps, but I think this game, you know, none of them were interested. They were just fine playing out those lanes, but still, of course, favorable. As we have here the Rumble going in. But the Gragas, he has a big belly. He knows he has a bunch of HP. He just does not care.
Way too aggressive of a push from Rumble here. The Gragas was not going to go down easy, especially with Gragas being so close to his tower. That was not a very good decision by the Rumble to try and force the wave. Now Gragas has a whole load of CS to collect. And even a level advantage, and Rumble's going to be missing waves from having to walk back up. He does have TP though, so the loss from this isn't as bad as it could have been, but it still definitely is really bad.
I still think a costly mistake for the Rumble, but I think that could have come out of desperation because, you know, the Gragas did get an immaculate freeze there and has been keeping that the entire game. Of course, now here I guess we had Prio here for UCSB, and so they're going to collect this dragon as Void Grubs spawn a little bit as well. So we'll have to see, are they going to get this dragon and trade the 3 grubs, or are they going to play around both? It looks like they're pathing a little bit up here, so...
Rumble does look to be hanging around Grubs. Maybe he does want to start it for the Skarner. Yes, Skarner is getting in now, but Braum is aware of this, and the Xin Zhao coming down as well. They should definitely contest this since they're already so ahead. They don't want to be giving UCSD any chance to come back into this game. Looks like Xin Zhao is working his way down slowly, getting ready to collapse. The Braum on the other side is like a 2 Horned Pines, and they force them off of Void Grubs now. UCSB grabbing 2 Void Grubs. This is going to be really bad for UCSD. They're already down a Drake, a kill on top, bot, and Void Grubs. This could be really big for USD in the future.
The early game definitely on their side. As they even look for maybe a little bit more here. No, just going to back off.
Bot is missing a lot of their wave now, but Gragas did come down to hopefully collect. So it looks like they are doing a little bit of that lane swap technique. Now Rumble might find himself absolutely bullied under tower, especially with the Braum and Jin duo. Yeah, with the wave already pushed so close up and the Void Grub damage, they might even potentially get a play here, which would be really big for UCSD. Now Skarner coming out of the wall, ready to collapse into it, but Jin flashes out. Rumble ult goes down. Braum unable to protect his knight, also has to flash out now. Looks like UCSD did take a really good advantage of this. They got really UCSB got really aggressive trying to push up the wave there, and Skarner saw this opportunity and collapsed upon them.
Xin Zhao going in there, but having to flash out, there was no opportunity there. As I guess we have a disconnect, and so there may be a pause.
Yeah. Looks like Nautilus, trying to collect the tides in Bilgewater, has to leave the Summoner's Rift temporarily. Hopefully this doesn't interrupt the game too much so we can get back to our regularly scheduled broadcasting.
It seems to be okay. I guess the game's still playing out? No. Yeah. Okay, it will be a pause. Well, actually, there's a lot of action even happening right now. Look at this freeze frame, right? Big fight happening top lane, and so we'll have to see how that works out. But even before that, right, of course, the Skarner getting the pick on the Jin. This is kind of like what we were talking about, where the Jin is so immobile. As this fight continues, okay, the Xin Zhao gets picked.
Ooh, UCSB is trying to be making too much, trying to bite off more they can chew here, especially with how much they were ahead. Now they might start to be getting behind, especially now, being a little too aggressive top lane and losing a lot of lives in the progress.
Yeah, wow. Okay, so early game was going to red side UCSB there, but then all of a sudden it slipped from their hands. What do you think were like the main blunders there? Do you think it was just a bit carelessness with regards to like where the jungle was, or do you think they were like trying to limit test?
They were definitely way too aggressive top lane. They knew the Skarner was out there. With the Skarner's ability to pop out of the walls at any time, they should have definitely been a lot more cautious in trying to push top lane. Especially also the Braum too. The Braum should have been playing closer to mid and trying to protect Jin, because you could immediately see the Skarner jumping out of the wall and taking out the Jin immediately. Apparently the support has DC'd from the game, so we are definitely working very hard to try and bring him back in. But in the meantime, looks like this match might not be as over as we thought it'd be, especially with how UCSB has been reckless in their handling of the top lane.
But definitely, you know, still early game, so there is still an avenue for both teams to try and figure out their victory in this game. You know, in these fights, I think part of why UCSB has been so aggressive is because I think their comp is a little bit oriented around that. I mean, like the Xin Zhao, he's gonna have to like get these kills in order to scale properly into the late game. Without getting those kills, he's kind of like in a flat line a little bit. As we're gonna have now a replay of these last couple of fights.
Either way, definitely caution must not be thrown to the wind here, especially with Jin and Braum. Yeah, as you can see here, Braum playing a little too far back, misses his opportunity to protect the Jin, and with the Rumble, Jin falls really quickly.
Yeah, it's that immobility. I mean, of course, the Xin Zhao comes for a little bit of backup, and I think here they can start leaving, but then I think he goes back in. Yeah.
Skarner bursting through. I feel like the Xin Zhao should have seen that coming, especially with how the Skarner telegraphed his move so quickly.
For sure.
This definitely was a very good play on UCSD Skarner, and I'm very happy that this rework champion is definitely getting his due.
I mean, that's what you want from a rework, ideally, no?
Exactly. More usage. Even though he might not play maybe he might not play as well as he did in the past, he definitely is different, and I'm all here for it.
No.
Yeah, maybe now I hope that UCSB will take this lesson a little bit, take this lesson close to heart and play a little back, trying to accumulate a little more power before pushing on so aggressively, especially with how stretched thin they were after taking the Void Grubs.
Very. I think the force off the Void Grubs from UC Santa Barbara was very good, and I think that was like pretty good macro. You got the Dragon and the Grubs. I mean, what's more to want? But I guess they wanted more. They definitely wanted more, and I think that's what cost them a little bit there in that play. But, you know, UCSD, also props to them. It wasn't just because of UCSD making mistakes. They just as much capitalized, right? The Skarner knows that, okay, the wave is pushing into the Rumble, and the Rumble, they might try, like, poking him, and so the Skarner, he's just going to respond. He's just going to come back and help out his laner there. And I think, speaking of helping out your laners, right, this LeBlanc, she did have the kill, right? But the Hui and the LeBlanc are actually still even in CS, practically, right? And so, you know, it seemed like an impressive lane at first, and especially with that first blood. It seemed a little bit bad for the Hui, but it seems like he's actually been doing just fine. I think we haven't seen it too much on camera, but I think the Hui probably just wave clearing, you know, not wanting any like trades or any of that business, probably respecting the distance.
Even if they are equal, though, I still think that LeBlanc has such the big advantage here, especially with all her mobility tricks, as I've said. So Hui is going to have a tough time getting himself out of this situation. Meanwhile, it looks like we have the two supports touching face and touching base quite as quickly. With the situation in top lane, Gragas is going to have to pick up the slack, especially with how Rumble did get some kills earlier. But Rumble is zoned away from pushing onto his own tower, so that could be really big. Meanwhile, LeBlanc, already hitting her level 8, is caught by Hui's tree, but doesn't look like that she suffered too much damage, and she gets right back into the fight immediately.
I think that was a really good combo from Hui, just a nice little short trade, but ended up being favorable to him.
It looks like UCSB has a really good opportunity for a collapse here, especially with how Xin Zhao is waiting around, but it doesn't look like Misfortune. Oh, I take that back. Xin Zhao is going to get in now, especially with the long range on his spear. This could be really big. Ooh, not Braum passive proc. Now this is force use flash, and Jin goes down, immediately taking out the Nautilus. Now Xin Zhao looks like he can get out alive. Misfortune does want some more, but Braum jumps in heroically, shielding the Jin.
She gets caught.
And caught by the Jin W. This could be GG's for Braum. Jin, Misfortune Q takes claims a double kill. Oh my god.
It's Misfortune. Okay.
What a turnaround.
Wow. Now we have the Skarner here to try and maybe get another play, because this Misfortune ends up going back in? Question mark?
I don't think Misfortune should have gone in there. She probably should have waited for Skarner to get around, especially since Braum and LeBlanc weren't quite gone yet. But I guess this was just a 2v2 trade on both sides.
A little bit of a miscommunication there. I think the MF maybe only went in to try and like get a bait because she knew the Skarner was coming. As we replay back to this fight, right? The Nautilus looks so dead, but the MF, she sees the angle where, okay, maybe I can get the Jin out, but then this ult completely saves him. But she still wants it, and you have a Jin who's like 75% HP. She chunks both of them down. She wants at least one. It looks here like she's totally dead. I had thought she was dead.
But no, they perfectly line up here, and with this power shot, takes out the Xin Zhao and the Jin as well.
And that was just phenomenally played. And I think here, again, here's where the miscommunication happened. R the wave, but then they saw that angle. Now that she doesn't have the R and the Skarner is too far.
Misfortune definitely shouldn't have pushed up there. She should have waited back, or potentially even started recalling. Maybe baiting in the Xin Zhao and maybe baiting in the LeBlanc and the Braum to get in a little closer. Now, meanwhile, Braum ult goes down, trying to stem the onslaught, but LeBlanc does get in and take out Nautilus. Skarner, Hui does get a trade on Braum, however. But it does look like there are way more UCSB members here than UCSD. Never mind, Rumble does get in even with 1 HP, but LeBlanc does manage to finish the execute. Now with Gragas on the grubs. With Hui chasing LeBlanc, this could be a difficult situation, but they do have a fresh Xin Zhao coming in, so it does look like LeBlanc will live to see another day.
Hui almost executing the LeBlanc there, but not quite getting it. It seems like a repeated thing about this match has been like push and pull. You've seen here, like, you've had victories for UCSB. They get the grubs, they get the drag, but then they overextend and they get caught. But then the MF, just as much, does the same thing right back. Overextends, gets caught after a little victory, right? another fight here for these grubs.
Xin Zhao a little too late to steal the grubs. Looks like Jin does shoot and ults one more time, trying to get some kills here. He should definitely be going for the misfortune right now, but does throw down all 4 shots. With the Nautilus very low, Jin should be targeting the Nautilus. Buzz.
A close one. The Nautilus trying to just get any value, keeping them in the pit, and it looks like they're going to be caught here in the pit, but you have UCSD coming in, and they're not going to let that happen.
Yeah. Especially with the Braum here now. Braum could definitely chunk out the Rumble here, and LeBlanc takes it. Now Jin is in a bit of a tight spot, but with the Braum support, he can probably get out of here. Missing his W, however, but getting the Skarner.
Execute!
Never mind, Hui does manage to finish off the Braum here. Skarner, honestly, he probably could have gotten in a little more there because the Braum was pretty weak. However, I guess the threat of having that shield there was definitely very difficult, even though the Hui did manage to finish the job off at the end. You can see here, Xin Zhao is a little late, and the Skarner does get the smite off on the Void Grubs, especially with how much of a health Nautilus is. It gets really difficult at times to displace him, and spending all that time to kill the Nautilus really helped UCSD get back into the fight and position themselves to get some more picks.
I think the Jin here was just given too much uptime. That might have been the biggest mistake. Because he was just getting autos in that pit because he wasn't dying in that pit. And then here, he's still getting autos, Maybe if he hit this W, he like gets even another kill. But then, of course, caught out by the Hui, gonna snipe him. But still, again, it's the push and pull. You think it's a victory for one team, it's another victory for the other, and so it ends up equalizing. And so actually, the kills are still 10-11. And there is like virtually no gold lead. As we have here, perhaps a solo kill from the Gragas onto the Rumble.
Gragas does take Rumble here. Like I said, Rumble does want to be getting close, but not too close, because Gragas is definitely the bigger bruiser here, and with the bigger belly. Now it looks like UCSB will be taking Drake here again, getting 2 in both the Mountain and Fire Drake.
And both teams having 3 grubs, but you know, UCSB having those 2 Drakes, so maybe down the line they're gonna get that soul. Hopefully, maybe that's kind of the game plan in terms of breaking through to this game and getting the win. I think UCSB, you know, playing the objectives, they're not letting an objective go without contesting. Every time, you know, those first grubs, they went in even though they had just got Dragon, and then they just went and got the second pair of grubs, or attempted to.
Back to mid, it looks like the LeBlanc has chunked out the Hui significantly more. The Hui's going to have a really tough time, but he does have a really good clear with his E, so it's going to be interesting to see who comes out here. Braum roaming now. It looks like they're trying to get priority on Rift Herald. Rift Herald would be really helpful here, especially since both teams have 3 grubs. It's going to be really difficult for them to break towers unless something comes along, something big like the Rift Herald.
It's a 5-kill LeBlanc, super dangerous, and a 4-kill Gragas. Granted, the Rumble is very fed himself, and the Hui does have a bounty. But, you know, I think at this point it's going to be a matter of execution because no one team is too far ahead. They have kind of fed damage dealers on both sides. It looks here, UCSD is just going to give the Rift Herald, like you said. And so they're definitely going to be using that pretty soon.
Maybe not mid because of how much mid has been winning. Maybe they might try and break the stalemate bottom or top lane. Ooh, Gragas ult comes down, absolutely collapsing upon the misfortune. But Skarner does show up. Gragas knows this and tries to get away, but jumps right back in. Missing the flashing out of the Skarner ult as well. That is one of the unfortunate parts about the rework. Skarner ult is very telegraphed now, so it is really easy to avoid with someone with a trained eye.
Jason, you mad lad. I mean, I said this earlier during the draft, like Gragas is an insane comfort pick for this guy. So I think going forward, you know, if the Gragas gets banned, it's very unfortunate. Because he's just getting so much value. He gets solo kills, he gets kills onto the MF, even though the Skarner came to back him up. He just finds value out of that character. So I think really well done by him. Awesome to watch. And of course, you know, we talked about the Rumble Hui. I think the Rumble Hui also getting value. They have 6 kills, 2 kills. Have a turret here top from the LeBlanc, who is 5-0.
Extremely fed now with 10 dark steel stacks. She's a very dangerous force to be reckoned with, especially for the Hui. Jin picking up some farm. Looks like the supports, along with the help of Skarner, will try and fight it out. And with the misfortune as well, Braum is in a very difficult spot here. But Jin and Xin Zhao do show up now. Oh, and the Nautilus gets caught out. Oh my god. with the help from the Gragas really disrupting Nautilus's E is a really difficult fight for them to win, especially with so many big bodies there. Now the channel, the recall does get interrupted here. Wade does land his fear though, forcing away LeBlanc, taking his first death, and now it looks like UCSB is the one on the run now.
LeBlanc, I think she saw the angle after killing the Nautilus and they're all backing. She saw an angle, but I mean, if you have the entire team there, you have the entire team there, and you know she's 5-0 at that point. But you know you're not gonna solo kill the entire team, and so she just gets caught out, going a little too deep in the water.
Another sign of UCSB's extreme aggression. They gotta really tone it down a little. Losing those 10 Dark Steel stacks as well as the gold from the shutdown could be really dangerous, especially helping UCSD catch back up to the game. Now the mid turret is taken down with Rift Herald. Skarner looks to be trying to get some vision priority. Yeah, here we can see the Braum is getting collapsed upon by the ADC, Nautilus, and Skarner as well. But with the Xin Zhao support and Jin, they do manage to start turning the tide around, especially with how much damage Xin Zhao does with his ult.
I had thought that Braum was like Lehan's a little bit. Like T1 Lehan's, man. Like getting caught out as support, giving the win to the other team. But all of a sudden, they got on the Nautilus somehow, right? Like you said, the support from the team, the Gragas coming in, the Xin Zhao coming in, and the Jin getting the root. So it looked like he was caught out, but ended up being pretty good.
That LeBlanc was definitely trying to bite off a little more than she could chew, which is really unfortunate.
More chewing here, and it looks like maybe she'll have a meal. No, she won't. Gonna have the entire team in that jungle there, or the Skarner and the Hui, so.
Yeah, Drake is going to be up soon, so hopefully UCSD can get this to try and deny a soul point from UCSB, but if UCSB does get this, they might still be ahead even with their gold lead at 30. Ooh, now, big fight going in. Skarner trying to displace the Braum, grabbing two with his ult, getting them out of the fight and straight into the Rumble. However, Xin Zhao pops his ult, chunking out the Rumble after and the Jin ult comes down too. This could be really difficult now. Ooh, hitting all 4 of his shots, but barely doing any damage to the Skarner.
Another re-engage from the Gragas because it was a 1-for-2 and they're still up.
Yeah,
but it seems like they're backing off.
Hui chunking them out, the rest of them. Now the fight has been stopped momentarily. LeBlanc doesn't have enough pressure to go in on the Hui, especially with Hui's abilities being able to deny her. If she can't use her movement abilities as well, Hui definitely takes the 1v1 situation. Now, but it does look like UCSB does have priority over Dragon. They will be trying to take that soon.
I think very much needed for UCSD having prior on this drag because, you know, they have to back.
Yeah, maybe if they can push out bot tower a little more, they'll be able to take this securely.
They're gonna perhaps make a move on the Gragas? No, he's just gonna get this tower for free.
Not the way it does look like he is trying to get in. Having that area around Dragon be clear of towers is so important, especially when you want to wrap around and potentially go into the enemy jungle there. So it is really good that Gragas is trying to push there. Now it looks like the Xin Zhao is going to be in a really tough spot. It does look like a big fight is coming out with the Rumble ult going down immediately. LeBlanc trying to chunk out the Skarner, but it doesn't look like he's going to get much. You know, Braum and Xin Zhao are trying to get back into the fight, especially being pushed away by the Skarner. With all 4 of them there, this could be a really big opportunity for UCSB to shut them down. But it does look like UCSD will gain control over the Dragon Point.
A teleport coming in, more backup for this fight. Are you going to play the front to back, have this TP flank?
It looks like the LeBlanc is wrapping around a little, trying to get... The Gragas is there in the bush as well, posing another threat to UCSB. This is going to be really difficult for UCSB. They don't
put a flash engage.
Oh, the Braum shield going on, tanking the majority of the damage, but Misfortune is too much from... Meanwhile, on the right side, it does look like Gragas has the upper hand here, chunking out the Skarner, doing massive damage with his drunken range. And LeBlanc trying to get out a little. The Jin from far away, though, does claim the Nautilus, and Gragas pulls up to destroy the Misfortune as well. Wade does get his fear off, and unfortunately is able to execute the Gragas, but LeBlanc takes Hui's life in return. Now it looks like it's just 2 UCSB members versus the one Rumble. It looks like the Rumble will be taking this with UCSB too weak to have any sort of sizable follow-up. Unfortunate.
Another extremely narrow fight. The push and pull. Yet again, it looks good for one team, then it's good for the other. That was like really clean. There were a lot of interesting things happening there. The Jin got a nice snipe from the back line, as we have here the Braum trying to get in the face with his big fat shield. They look at me.
LeBlanc.
LeBlanc collects that kill. Hand fed.
Yeah, back up to 10 Darksteel stacks. This could be good for LeBlanc in the future. Yeah, you can see here, they're really... UCSD did a really good job of pushing them all together, but the Skarner ult really does help break the freeze here. Meanwhile, Gragas is such a big strong point for UCSD, and they've really mounted their entire push on the right. And doing so much damage with his barrels, he manages to take the Skarner here. And they have to dedicate so much of their time to kill him that they don't notice the Jhin setting up. And the Jhin does claim one with his ult there.
It was a war on two fronts, definitely, I think, for UC San Diego.
Missing that W was really unfortunate
as
though.
well. Yeah, that
If
could
they,
have
the
turned
W,
into
yeah, they might have been able to kill the Hui before executing the Gragas, and the Gragas would still continue being a problem there. Now, it does look like the things have calmed down, but UCSD is going to try and get some vision priority on Baron. After taking one Drake, they're going to really want another buff to keep them in this game, and Baron could be just the medicine that they need.
UC San Diego also getting the dragon there after that fight because the Rumble lives. That's also big for them because that gives them more time to scale.
Ooh, does look like UCSB is going to be really controlling the area around Baron. In these team fight oriented games, getting these objectives is going to be so important, especially for UCSB because they want to close this out quickly before UCSD can get back in the game.
Yeah, you have a Hui and a MF and a Rumble collecting almost infinite gold the more time the game goes on, and that's going to be much better for them. But of course, UCSB still has the gold lead. They are up about like 5,000 gold, and so we'll see if they can leverage that. I think they are playing these team fights well in terms of like finding their moments, but it's just somewhere in the execution it goes wrong, and UCSD has found a way to slip through, you know, get that one last team member alive or something. And so we'll have to see if UCSB can put a stop to that in this next upcoming one. As they just farm through mid. Like you were saying, they were kind of playing around Baron for a little bit, trying to get their vision down. We'll have to see if that's also a factor in the team fight. In terms of summoner spells, you have the Hui, you have the Skarner from UCSD. They don't have Flash because they had used that. But then the LeBlanc just as much doesn't have hers, and the Jhin doesn't have hers, or his. So
Skarner narrowly missing the Gragas does look to be forcing him out of lane. Now, reaccumulating around Baron again. I think UCSB is going to want to try and make a move here to try and displace the hold, or try and displace the presence of the UCSD members.
I think big targets that UCSD is going to want to look toward is the Jhin and the LeBlanc with no Flash. I mean, it'll be up soon, but if something happens early, I think prime members to look for. They're kind of the damage carries almost, but you also have to keep watch of that Gragas. That Gragas assaulting from the back is going to be like just doing a load of damage. He's going to be disrupting. Skarner narrowly missing. Would have canceled that back there, but oh well. Just gathering here in the jungle.
Now, it does look like LeBlanc is going to be pushing up that bottom wave, but maybe walking straight into a trap. Ooh, narrowly making it out with her 2 movement abilities. Definitely a very difficult champion to get the beat on. Me running back under tower. Hopefully to farm a little bit safer.
Yeah, you can't really chase that, especially against a LeBlanc. God knows how painful that is, chasing her through her jungle.
Now it looks like clearing out the wards around. It does look like UCSB will be making their move on Baron now. The Gragas thrusting his big belly forward, trying to get some space there.
UCSD though, I think they've caught on. They're kind of making their way up. They're pinging it. Yep, they're coming. And this burn on the Baron is a little bit slow too. I feel like they're definitely going to be here in time.
Yeah, with the Misfortune ult, this could be a really bad situation for USB given how concentrated the Misfortune ult does go down, chunking out a huge amount of damage and taking the Baron down as well. Big mistake on UCSB part. And now UCSD does collapse upon them, taking the Xinjiao and Braum as well. This could be a difficult situation for UCSB to get their way out of.
It was, I mean, like you said, the MF ult was going to come. It was inevitable. And when it fired, it gets that Baron. That is a very valuable steal there.
Yeah, I don't think the Xinjiao was ready with his smite in time. And now Gragas is going to get collapsed upon utterly. With the Jhin ult, Nautilus standing right in front, does not care about his 4 shots, but does get hit by the 5th one, getting rooted. Meanwhile, the rest of UCSB does take the tower, and now the LeBlanc might not be able to make her way out of this one. Does claim the misfortune in the meantime, but it does look like Hui will be able to get her with his long-range abilities.
A cheeky little goodbye kill.
That was crazy, man.
Yeah. I think even stronger. Like, okay, getting the Baron was one thing, but then they just kept going. UCSD. They dove the Gragas under his own tower. Almost got the Jhin. I think the Nautilus face taking the Jhin ult was like pretty big. Helped them to be safer on that dive. And so really well played by UCSD. I think they found their way to get back into the game. We talked earlier, UCSB had about 5,000 gold lead. Now that's only about like 1,000. Here they're getting equal dragons again. So definitely found a way back into this game, and it's like almost equal. So now it's a matter of execution.
And Nautilus playing around the bush, preventing UCSB from contesting the Drake. This is going to be really big for UCSD getting back to the game, like you said. Especially with the Hui pushing up the wave now. This could start to become a difficult situation for UCSB's mid tower, especially how low it is. The Baron empowered minions do take it down. Skarner pushing forward aggressively now. Does look to be making space for his team. So he's trying to help take out the tier 2 tower there. Meanwhile, Baron empowered minion chunking away at the tower, helping trade a little bit into the LeBlanc as well.
Yeah.
Now Rumble picking up Grom. Looks to be split pushing a little bit from his team, trying to push up the bot lane. It's definitely a good idea, even though he does have... Never mind. It's like a Xin Zhao is trying to get in with his ult, with the Gragas as well. Big collapse in the middle, with the LeBlanc leashing onto the Skarner. Skarner's in difficult position now, but UCSB is also really low, and the Rumble gets in, destroying the Braum. Skarner displacing Gragas as well, brings him back into the fight, and takes him out as well. Now LeBlanc does manage to pick up Rumble here, but Skarner does take out Xin Zhao in return.
Just so tanky.
Running through the wall, gets executed by the Jhin.
Not
now
tanky enough.
Now it's just Hui and Nautilus against Jhin and LeBlanc. This could be a really difficult situation though, especially with Hui's AoE abilities and the roots as well.
Wow.
Looks like they want a little bit more, I think.
What a fight. It's the same thing over and over again. These teams are just A-ramming, they're just fighting and fighting, and we're getting cinema out of it. Such free content. These are beautiful fights. Oh my god.
Now LeBlanc running top, trying to make the most of this situation. As you can see here, Xin Zhao really engages here with his W into his ult, trying to catch out the misfortune, which he does successfully, but Skarner does ult in return and grabs 2 members of UCSD.
The Rumble splits them off, and the Jhin says, okay, I'm just going to R from a distance. But then the Rumble, he knows that, and so he goes in. He gets the Braum, and he gets that Jhin to cancel, or at least back off.
Yeah, meanwhile, Skarner at the bottom grabs Gragas by the belly and forces him back, killing him, and managing to make some space for Nautilus and Hui to get back into the fight.
I think that was Collector there on the Jhin, getting that kill on the Skarner.
Yes.
Yeah, without that, kind of cooked. But luckily they were able to live, so it ended up being 2 alive on each team, yeah.
Having an execute against tanks is so important because it means that you don't have to commit as many resources taking out that last sliver of health, which is really huge in the long run. As health bars get bigger, that 5% becomes a lot more than it is at the early game.
And speaking of items, the Sway here is about to build his Rabadon's cap. He has the 2 needlessly large rods, and so that's going to be a huge power spike.
Yeah, he has such big utility in team fights, especially with the large AoE on his abilities. It could be something really interesting to see into the future.
Yeah.
Hitting the 30-minute mark, I guess this really has turned into a back burner game, especially with how it has been between both sides. The Blanc does get in a little bit here. Trying to chunk out the Rumble. Ooh, doing so much damage to her.
I don't think...
Rumble is in a really difficult position here, and LeBlanc does manage to take him out.
Yeah, I don't think the Rumble lives there. But a TP, sneaking away. Well played, LeBlanc, getting out.
And meanwhile, Braum looks to be trying to chunk out the Hui, especially with the Gragas close by, but the Hui doesn't want any of that smoke, backs off.
LeBlanc just doing so much burst damage. And if she's just able to get that out in like a team fight or something, and if she's not caught out in the beginning of it, definitely like a major player.
You know, UCSB will take the mid tower here, clearing up even more space for them to push up into the future. This could be a bad situation for UCSB, especially with how close the minion waves can now get to their nexus. Looks like the UCSB is also gathering in the bottom jungle, trying to set up another team fight here. Especially with how Skarner could be caught out with the Braum passive. This could be really big for UCSB. Now, looks like they're going to back off. Baron Nashor did just spawn, so maybe UCSB is going to try and take this one and get themselves back into the game. They are very high up. They do have a very high CS lead, but with UCSD's performance of clutching up team fights, this could be a difficult game for them to break out of. One thing's for sure, and they're going to definitely need objective bounties for them to break this stalemate and hopefully get out of this game.
With Baron just spawning and UCSB having just backed, you know, to get those items, get back healed up.
Yeah, meanwhile, LeBlanc could be potentially caught out here, but does...
the burst, yeah. It's the burst.
Escape,
That's fair, by the way. The heck? Just assassinated that. Can't even say get down, Mr. President, like President was gone. MF being down, I think, yeah, UCSB correctly identifying that with the MF down, they can get a free objective. Before, it used to be a threat, okay, MF is going to maybe R and get the steal like she did with the Baron, but no longer there. Get that dragon, this is now soul point.
Flashing mastery to make sure that Drake knows what's up. Now UCSD is going to be accumulating around Baron. Hopefully that they can turning losing Drake into gaining Baron or something similar like that.
Looks like they're just going to back off for now. I think
Yeah.
with their MF still down, it's a little bit hard.
Meanwhile, Hui did get his Rabadon's death cap, so he will have a lot more explosive potential in upcoming team fights. Now it does look like UCSB will be making their move on Baron. Or clearing out the wards in preparation, most certainly. They're going to wait for the rest of their team to get there. But UCSD is aware of this fact and is also accumulating. I think we're going to see our next team fight
100%.
here.
I think this will be game-winning, game-losing. Probably. So we'll have to see the culmination of these two teams, you know, what they can bring to the table. Have they learned from their mistakes so far in these team fights that have ended up in narrow, almost draws in a sense, I think. Can they clutch it out, make sure it's not a draw, make sure it's a victory for their side with smarter tactics? I think we're definitely going to see that, an attempt at that.
And Bragg is pushing out the bottom wave even further. They're going to try and put a little more pressure onto blue team's Nexus to hopefully clear up some space around Baron. But it does look like that the teams will be accumulating around Baron, especially with Skarner taking out wards, trying to deny UCSB their vision. Now, looks like he's going to be making his move now. Certainly, the Braum exposing himself to throw out a cheeky little Q. Skarner is caught, aware, and Xinjiao does look to be trying to potentially catch him off guard, but does back up. Meanwhile, Nautilus hooking onto the Baron wall. Looks like he's going to be trying to initialize this fight, especially with how tanky he is. And a little close-up shot with KDA Gragas. Beautiful skin, by the way.
I love that guy.
Bursting out his belly. The world to see.
I was going to say, it kind of, I might be crazy, but it looks like UCSB, to me, like they were somewhat matching. Like, I feel like their skins were all like a similar color at the start of the game, but like I could be totally wrong. Something to look for in the next team fight. We'll see if that theory's true. They kind of have like a little like a purple-pink thing going on, almost.
That is true.
Yeah, maybe that's intentional. If so, dope. I respect that so much. Of course, getting this sexy KDA Gragas on my screen, I'm gonna have no complaints. Okay, playing for maybe some top push. I think you know, UCSD is kind of scared of getting assassinated again by the LeBlanc, and so now they're all huddling together, making sure they're always wary.
Or even if they do double up, KDA Gragas here is going to use that opportunity to take the bot tower, opening up even more space for UCSD to push on. Yeah, having taken the tower, it does look like UCSD will be responding in time, putting pressure onto the top tower. Skarner and Rumble being such damage sponges, they are going to be playing in front, hopefully trying to protect Misfortune. Misfortune can, if Skarner can group up UCSB and Misfortune ults, this could spell really bad and a guaranteed Baron for UCSD. Now Skarner is caught a little alone here, but Braum will be pretty sandwiched between the Nautilus and the Skarner.
I think that's an important thing to note, that the Skarner and the Nautilus are just huge damage sponges. So I think it's up to them to kind of protect that Hui, protect that MF especially. Let them get uptime, get online. Because they are strong. You have BT, IE, Rapid Fire, Essence Reaver on the MF. She does damage. And the Hui, again, we just talked about. Now he has Magic Pen, and with Rabadons and everything. Of course, the LeBlanc also has access to those things, but I think in the team fight, it's a little bit easier for Hui to put that out. I mean, his is just skill shots, it's AoE. LeBlanc, she to some degree has to risk herself. Because I think if she goes in at the wrong moment, gonna get caught out maybe by like a hook, maybe gonna get feared by the Hui or something. We do know that the Hui has actually been pretty good at landing fears on the LeBlanc. You know, I think he has played this a little bit of damage here in the mid lane. Jin getting chunked down to half health.
A lot of ability power built by that Hui. Hui can really apply a lot of pressure here, along with his really good wave clear. This could be a small point of contention for UCSB to answer.
Yeah, I think you have to address that.
Yeah, it does look like UCSD will be going down for Dragon, but LeBlanc does look to be split pushing, trying to take another tower of her own.
She does have that demolish proc. Are they going to commit to the Dragon, though? That's the question, right?
Yeah, with this Dragon, they will be denying UCSB soul points, so this is a really important objective for them to take.
But it looks like UCSB not interested. They're just going to go straight down into their base, and I think UCSD knows this.
Yeah, they're gonna have to make their way back, especially with how much pressure they can put. Ooh, Hui shut down immediately by the LeBlanc. Now Braum does look to be chunking out that tower, doing big damage. Rumble is back, however, and does look, but Xinjiao does get back in, especially with the Braum protecting Zanya's go down, protecting, you know, Misfortune. It has shown up, executing the Xinjiao. Skarner ult goes down, picking up UCSB members, and UCSB is now the ones on the run. The Hunter has become the hunted. With the Skarner rooted, this could be a small issue, but the Rumble does come back into up. You know, Gragas makes his way out after cutting off UCSB.
LeBlanc also gets away, yeah. Okay, wow, what a... So they ended up getting them off the Dragon, so they got soul point for both teams now. I mean, sorry, they still got the Dragon, right?
Yes.
But in return, they got a little bit of damage onto the base. It looks so good with that pick on the Misfortune, but it ended up falling apart, as we do here. Have now Baron.
I guess with the jungler down, they're going to really try and take this Baron now.
Yeah, I think a good opportunity to seize for sure, but we'll have to see if there's enough damage.
Oh, this could be a really good point for a Misfortune ult right now with the team so tightly concentrated, and Misfortune ult does go down, but doesn't seem to get anything. Braum is very low HP though.
Braum lives. Wow.
Very good execute. Now Jin ult comes down, probably picking up the Skarner here. No, last shot goes wide.
Jin trying to curve that.
Unlucky.
Oh wow.
Forced off of Baron. Gragas barrels through. You know, a lot of damage to the play. Ooh, but he does dodge the W in time. Very good play by the play.
Super risky territory. You get caught out by like one ability and the fight is almost over. But okay, even though this ended up being a couple kills from each team and maybe a little bit worse for UCSB, they still got them off the Baron though. So I think, you know, not having the jungler and getting them off Baron, I think that's as much as you would want.
I think Misfortune should have ulted right there.
Yeah. But then the Braum kind of covers, but he doesn't have enough HP to really like sustain that entire ult, so I think he would have died and then would have been huge damage.
That angle there is really too tight for Misfortune to make the best out of it, and Jin manages to get away and set up his ult in return. Interesting fourth shot, but you know, I guess you could say it is for zoning.
I think he was trying to curve it, like with the hitbox. I have like seen that before.
Yeah, but...
yeah, because they were all huddled up and everything.
That's true, but Nautilus isn't that big yet. He isn't building hard steel after all.
Hui making his way through the jungle, taking the scenic route. We have here some of the monsters in the jungle. Oh my. Are they going to catch that little Hui? Probably not. Oh yeah, they totally know they're on vision.
And now the rest of the team does come back again once more. Looking to get a little more to smoke the Braum and the Jin. Caught by the Hui, this could be a really difficult position for UCSB to get in, but it does look like they extricate themselves quite rapidly. And UCSD is going to go for the Baron once more. Part 2. It's like a Nocturnal has hit the street. You can still hear the sounds of battle. Oh,
okay, Nocturnal has left.
Baron quite low now. But
What?
UCSB does manage to steal Baron.
Gragas.
Very great Gragas barrel.
Gragas, my goat.
However, Braum does go down. Find Might will play and Explosion. This could be a very difficult situation with Xin Jiao also caught out. But 3 members of UCSB do make it out in time with the Baron buff.
Yeah.
So it does look like their lead will be cemented.
I think that stops any threat of like them ending at all. Okay, even the Nautilus caught out. What? The LeBlanc, a top tier assassin here. What?
Yeah.
Giving Agent Zero a run for his money. Oh, and even waiting for another pick, perhaps.
When
No.
Skarner goes to pick up his buff, maybe he'll be finding a whole lot of magic in return. Now Gragas is going to be pushing up to the inhibitor. Dodging a Hui skill shot. This guy's been really good, really nimble on his feet despite being so big. Yeah, UCSD resetting themselves now. Looks like they're still in this game, although it might still be very difficult, especially with the Baron buff on UCSB's side.
Dragon coming up in a little bit, and it's soul point for both teams. I think this is the do or die moment. I think pretty soon you're going to be having a monumental team fight, and this is exactly what we predicted at the start of the game. They're similar in seed, and they're gonna scrap it out, and it's gonna be so close. Victories and losses from both sides, but ultimately there's gonna be one winner in this game only, right? And we'll have to see who plays it the best and earns that victory.
Now accumulating under the bottom jungle, UCSB is going to be trying to get this soul point. With this soul, the Hextech soul, it's going to be a really big power boost for them, and hopefully they'll be able to close out this game, especially with how close it's been so far. Wait, isn't it Fire Soul now, isn't it, huh? Yeah, Hui trying to ward off the top lane push, but our attention is on the bottom fight now. With the Braum starting his passive on the Nautilus, Drake is already down to half health, but the Skarner is here.
They still get that secure on the smite, but they end up getting that Xin Zhao. Or I mean that Skarner. Skarner, big impale into the MF ults, but it's not enough damage. MF has to be on the run, and the Xin Zhao gets that on the run. Okay, but then you have a Gragas here securing the kill, and he's going to definitely get this kill on the MF together with the Skarner.
UCSB does get soul point here, and they're also absolutely chunking out the Misfortune. This could be game over for UCSD.
This is game over. Wow.
Now
What
LeBlanc,
a game.
Yeah, GG. LeBlanc with Baron buff and soul point. Gragas coming, smacking his belly against the towers. It is over for UCSD, and UCSB will be moving on to the LAN party.
A phenomenal game from both players, or from both teams. Oh my god. That was just like almost the UCLA versus UC Berkeley game. You have so much skirmishing, so much good team fighting to watch there. Incredibly interesting, and I think there was no one, like, you know, if you were to say like, oh, maybe like one player on the team inted and they lost, it's like, I don't think there was any of that. I think both teams like played to their best, and I think what ended up just being the difference was, you know, maybe control of the pit or whatever. Because you saw there, right, it was UCSB who was kind of had the control of the pit there, and they burned the dragon so fast to the point where when UCSD had to come in there, they ended up being almost too late, and they were just caught out. And after that, they were on the run. So, you know, it ended up being incredibly close, though.
Yeah,
and I think phenomenal game to watch.
Today we've had 2 really close games, one between UCLA and UC Berkeley, and one between UCSD and UCSB. And here we can see the bracket. UCLA will be going up against Irvine, and UC Berkeley will be going against UCSB today in the LAN party. That'll be in about mid-January around in the Red Bull Arena, so hopefully that is something for you guys to look forward to. Meanwhile, next week we will be coming back with Overwatch and Valorant as well. So hope to see you guys next week. We're going to call it here today. Great matches today from all sides, definitely.
We're going to have a montage of all of these things, a little highlight reel to show you guys.
Yeah, thank you for watching.
The UCEI Qualifiers, sponsored by Xfinity.
Love to game? With Xfinity, you can upgrade your speed to keep slaying zombies like it's your day job.
It is my day job.
Upgrade your internet speed for the ultimate gaming experience. Bring on the good stuff.
Our new Xfinity gateways can support hundreds of devices.
Up your internet gay. Am I right?
I'm over here.
Am I close?
Get a strong connection to power hundreds of devices with ultra-low lag.
Marco?
Bring on the good stuff.